happy today happened.
Oh.
But you're teaching me how to handle disagreements better, in a better way.
Oh.
I heard you were crying. That's nice. I don't know what situations don't want to make someone cry.
It's my fault anyway, so...
It still doesn't matter.
What is wrong with Hannah? What is wrong? The producer sat her down and tried to give her an edit, a makeover, and still she continues to be messy. And for Mia to eat it up without calling, Nico doesn't make sense. And I'm here for Dylan and Sophie finally having another conversation where they're in a better headspace. The fact that Dylan was still checking in on Sophie at night before they went to sleep and gave her a cuddle, because he could tell her eyes were red, they were puffy, you could tell she was crying. She must have been crying in the shower. And so for him to sort of apologize again and then for them to make up, I wish the producers would just leave them alone. For the love of Christ, just leave those two people alone. They like each other. Allow them to distract on their own without you constantly instigating stuff. Anyway, I'm in my feelings already. Hey there, thanks for stopping by. It's your girl Valerie. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, click the like button, turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos, and definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Love Island Australia, Season 6, Episode 25. It's been a long weekend. I've been on pins and needles. I've wanted to find out exactly what's happening with Sophie and Dylan's situation. Because for me, I don't get when people say Sophie and Dylan are toxic. Sophie and Dylan are not toxic as a couple, the two of them together. They're not toxic. Sophie and Dylan's problems are the producers. They are the problem. And I feel like they're being punished for choosing each other over everybody else. Because at the end of the day, when Sophie came into the villa, they had Indigo right at the front for her to kiss Indigo, because they had to do the Uma situation if you watched Love Island UK. And then when she chose Indigo, but as soon as Dylan became available, she jumped ship. That's when things went chaos, because I think they wanted her to choose Indigo or to go back to Zayn, and she didn't go either way. She went left where they didn't expect her to go. And since then, the producers have really tried to sort of break them apart, be it the situation with bringing in Chrissy and getting Chrissy to pick Dylan. Even though Chrissy knew that Dylan didn't like her, he liked her, but he liked Sophie more, because she even complained to Taylor that, he's always clinging around Sophie. So make it make sense. When that didn't work, they brought in Casa Amor, Hotel Amor, knowing for the fact that Zayn and Sophie had recently had contact on the outside world, and that's when their one-night stand had taken place. So now we have the situation with movie night, and it's like, seriously, are they the only couple in the villa? Are you going to pay for their therapist bill? Are you going to give them the money at the end of the day? Because every single thing you can throw at them, you have tried your best, and every time they keep sort of winning over that, you come up with a plan B. Apparently there's going to be something else in the next episode, and it's like, at this point, if it wasn't pre-recorded, I would be striking. I would be phoning 9 now to say, this ain't it. Because how are they the only couple that are being sort of torn apart? Yes, they do try with Steph and Mimi, but Steph is a pro. He's been on reality TV, so he knows how to navigate this. But Sophie and Dylan, they are naive. They have no idea what they're dealing with, the machine behind them. But anyway, I digress. I had to rant about that. So you still continue with Dylan and Sophie. They've had their conversation. Dylan walks off. Mimi comes to comfort Sophie, and you can tell that the girls can see that she's broken. One thing I like about Mimi and Em as friends is they didn't say to Sophie, "We told you so." Because on the night she came back from Hotel Amor and she told them that they had a drive-by, they told her, especially Mimi said, Dylan is crazy about you. Go and tell him the truth. Tell him everything that happened. And Sophie, I think, not wanting to lose Dylan, decided to be sort of political with the truth and sort of told him versions that she knew were sort of palpable. At the time, first she spoke about the kiss and Mimi said, go back and tell him more. And then she went back and she told him about the touchy-touchy. So I love that they're supportive of her and they're not saying, but we told you so. The fact that, Sophie was saying, I want to go home because nobody likes me. And Em was like, well, we don't like anyone here. So it is what it is. Let's keep going. And they gave her the best advice you can ask for your friends. What Sophie has is what I wish Dylan had, in the sense that Sophie has two girls that will stand beside her, will give her the guidance and advice, honesty that she needs. Because they told her, at this point, there's no point in you continuing to have conversation after conversation after conversation with Dylan, because it's not going anywhere. Take a moment, breathe, sleep on it, and then tomorrow morning have a conversation with him and see where you go from there. And I love that, because that was able to sort of get her to sort of take a step back and relax and reflect, because at that point she's just trying to prove to Dylan that I really like you, I don't want to lose you, I really like you. But Dylan is also in a point, she knows him. She's complained about this, that he can be shut off, and somehow she managed to slip through the gate. And so now she's in the castle, she's messing about, and she's been kicked back out. Now she has to try and find her way back into the gate. Oh, my analogy is crazy, but hey, it is what it is. It's interesting how some people have the drama brought to their doorstep. Steph and Mimi, you have Mercedes and Em, and you have Dylan and Sophie, number one priority or number one target on the producers list. And yet you have the likes of Hannah and Nico going to look for drama where there's no drama, where there's no need for a conversation. So Nico sits down with her because he wants to find out, when did she actually realize that he wasn't it for her? Did she ever like him, or did she play him all along because he had true feelings for her? And the idea or the audacity to call her Margot Robbie, okay. I try not to say anything negative against anyone. I don't think she's the most beautiful girl ever. I think if you darkened her hair, she'd be like any other girl on the street. I think it's the blonde hair that makes her stand out. There are other features that I will not body shame her for, but I don't think she is Margot Robbie type of beautiful. That's just my opinion. Neither do I think Margot Robbie is the most beautiful girl in the world, but hey, to each their own. I have my own idea of what beauty is, so I can criticize her for that. And for her to say she didn't have any feelings for him, it only took the challenge, where the fireman challenge, and it's like, tell the truth. You always liked him from jump. I feel like Hannah liked Taylor from the moment he walked in, and then when he coupled up with Alicia, she stood to the side, and then as soon as Em stepped in, she was ready to go in because Alicia had gone home. So the idea that she would lie to Nico, I do not get it. I really don't get it. You have Zayn sit down for a chat with Jade, and he's sort of saying, I wish I was in your shoes, because you are not involved in the drama. You are just there and you're just watching everything else going on. I want to apologize because I feel some type of guilty. And it's like, seriously, what is going on in that man's head? Somebody needs to take a look. He should be. It's not like I feel like, it's I am guilty and I am responsible for my actions. I don't know what I can say to Sophie or Dylan to apologize for the words that came out of my mouth without sort of consulting either or, because at the end of the day, that was one of the many things that sort of created a snowball effect to the situation whereby they are in this tense sort of confrontational mode. But no, to him, he's not responsible. Yes, I understand where Jade is coming from. The producers are guilty. I'm going to stand on it, and I'll stand on it, and I'll stand it on, and I'll repeat it, because she's right to say, if you put two people that have a history in a room and you lock them in a room, what do you expect? They put Sophie and Zayn in the most beautiful of all the hotel amours that they had. They had the most beautiful romantic setting. They had 2 bottles of wine. What did you expect? I'm not blaming it on the alcohol, but what did you expect? Apparently, these people had recently met and sort of hooked up. What did you expect? What did you expect? Okay, let's be honest. If the goal was not for them to be romantic, why didn't they put them in the place that they put Dylan and Mimi? Or why didn't even they give them the one they gave Em and Mercedes? That wasn't amazing. Even the one they gave Steph wasn't amazing. As far as I'm concerned, Zayn and Sophie got the hookup. They got the best sort of setting as compared to everybody else in Hotel Amour. So the idea that the producers did that out of the kindness of their heart, they're lying. They're lying. I don't know them. That's just my opinion. I don't have facts to prove it, but what I've seen, that's what it more or less implies, that there are people that they wanted to hook up, and then there are people that they wanted to cement the foundation of their relationship. People like Em and Mercedes and Nico and Mia were given the best settings because they wanted them to cement their relationships, but the other two, sadly, no. Seriously, you can't change certain people. You really can't change certain people, because you have Hannah pull Mia for a chat. And it's like, well, Mia, welcome to the club. Now you're proper islander. Now you're one of the girls in the villa, because Hannah is about to give you a taste of who she is. This is the reason why you have people like Em and Mimi not even tolerating her at all. Sophie likes to get along with people. She's non-confrontational. But this is why people don't like anything to do with Hannah, because Hannah pulls her for a chat and says, oh, I think Nico still got feelings for me. He said I'm his type of girl on paper. Tick, 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 tick. So that's all she she discussed, she didn't discuss the fact that he wanted to ask her about their connection and when she changed her mind and realized that he wasn't it for her. So she left that bit out, but she's talking about, I think he was saying, he was in love with me. I think he's still in love with me. Seriously. And for Mia to eat that up, I don't get it. If I were Mia, I would have said, wait a minute. I would have gone and pulled Nico, sat the two of them side by side and said, okay, let's go. Tell me what's going on. What did you say to her? And get her to repeat let him say what he said and let her confirm whether it is or not. Because there's no point in listening to one side and deciding, I'm going to go home when you don't know the truth. Listen to both sides. There's his side, her side, and then there's the truth. Hannah had the audacity to run and pull Taylor and said, I think I need to pull Taylor and tell him as well. Do you think I need... Why is she allowed to tell Taylor what happened, but Mia is not allowed to have a conversation with Nico? And the audacity, Hannah and Nico deserve each other. They deserve each other. For Hannah to tell them what she says, Nico said, and then Taylor said, okay, I'll run and have a conversation with him. I won't tell him that you told me. What I'll do is I'll suss him out. And it's like, seriously. Who doesn't know Taylor? Taylor lives for the drama. When M told people that Taylor lives for the drama, we all side-eyed her. And now he's showing us who he really is. Because he had this conversation with Nico and he says to, I just want you to give you a heads up just so that you know that, Hannah has told Mia that you said, you liked Hannah and Hannah is your type of girl. And it's like, so where is you not telling her every single thing? How did we get here? How did we get from you sort of saying, I'll just suss him out, to you suddenly exposing every single thing that you've been told by Hannah? Make it make sense. This is why I said everybody should have sat down together, had a conversation and reached an understanding of what was actually said. Because now you have Taylor saying whatever he's saying to Nico. You have Hannah saying whatever she's saying to Mia and Taylor. And it's a lot of whispers and no actual truth in either stories. While Taylor's telling more of the truth than Hannah is actually. I'm here for Nico. Nico clocked it because you had him speaking to Zayn and Taylor in the bedroom and he said, okay, fine, I'm going to go and pull Mia. Mia is busy having a conversation with Hannah and Jade and she's talking about the fact that, I want to go home because I don't want to be second best to anyone. I don't want him to play with me. I'd rather go home and stay at home than continue in a connection that's not working. So you had Nico come and pull her and he clocked it because he asked her, is it a plot or is it something? What's going on? So the producers are instigating fights between couples. That's what I get. Because why would Nico say, is it part of a plot? Because I didn't say that. And it's like, well. And people are believing every single thing that's coming up. There are couples that have real connections. And I think what's happening is the couple that have strong connections are the ones that the producers are stirring up. And the ones that don't have a connection are the ones that are being used to try and create drama, because there was no need for Hannah to sort of go and say that to Mia. And I like the fact that Nico is tired of Hannah. He's tired of Hannah. He called her, a fake bee. And it's like, Nico, you said it once. We've already heard it. You don't need to continue saying it. Because he's asking her, why would you listen to her? And now I'm happy. Personally, I'm happy. Valerie's happy because at least Mia now knows what the other girls have been talking about, that Hannah is not one of the best people. I wonder how her defense league can defend her going to Mia and saying that, because if she felt some type of way, she should have said, I'm uncomfortable with you saying this to me. I would rather we pull in Mia so that she understands or she hears what you're saying, because it's making me uncomfortable and I don't think Taylor will be happy when he hears it. So I'd rather we bring in our partners, have them sit down with us and listen to this conversation that we're having, because I don't want Taylor to feel some type of way and I don't want Mia to feel some type of way. As soon as Nico said that, you could see the light bulb moment in Mia's head, because she realized that, I've actually been played by Hannah, because Hannah is now chilling with Taylor. She's kissing Taylor. She's, swinging her legs and she's created havoc. And it's like the producers have told, their favorite couples to say, go and stir up trouble for everybody else, and then you appear like the good couples that survived, movie night. And yet it doesn't seem to be working. So you have the Islanders go to bed. And I personally feel like some of the drama was created so that it just wasn't Sophie and Dylan fighting. That's the impression that I get. The producers wanted sort of plausible deniability to say, they're not the only couple that we sort of isolated and decided to cause havoc for. We did it with everybody else. So you have Islanders in bed. Mimi is happy that Steph is teaching her how to deal with conflict and she feels like they're doing amazing as a couple. And it's like, wow, to each their own. At least she was able to get over it. She saw the clip. She had a conversation, and now she's happy. She's ready to move on. You have Mercedes and M. They're in paradise. They are, the yummiest to each other. They're making out. Taylor and Hannah, the audacity to say, "I miss you," and it's like you were just talking a few seconds ago when you're busy gossiping about Nico. So when did you miss each other? Make it make sense. You have Sophie. Sophie is sad. You can actually see her face that she was crying. I think she didn't want to cry, with the camera shining straight in her face. She must have gone to the shower because her face looks a bit puffy. So she must have gone to the shower and cried in the shower and then come out. And so Dylan is asking her, I heard that you were crying. It was never my intention to make you cry. And she's sort of saying, well, it's my fault because I made a mistake. And he said, there's never any reason why somebody should cry, whether they're at fault or not. And it's like, Dylan, his Momo button is sort of Sophie, because he can't help himself. Yes, he has ideas of what he wants to say, he has ideas of what he wants to do, but he's easily triggered, or he's easily sort of laid back when it comes to Sophie. I don't think if all this had transpired with any of the other girls in the villa, he'd be laying there trying to console her. Yeah, they had a cute conversation in bed. This is a genuine connection. I don't care what anybody else is saying to me. This is a genuine connection because they're having a conversation. She is asking, okay, so what do you want to do? Where do we go from here? And he's saying, I don't know. My head is scrambled. She asked him, do you want us to break up? He's saying, I don't, but my head is scrambled. And it's like, Dylan has feelings for Sophie. He said it before, I'll say it now. I feel like he fell in love with Sophie. And that's why he was constantly fighting for this relationship. And that's why, irregardless of his what he would call better judgment, he kept going back. And I feel like they have the possibility of actually having a successful relationship after the show, if you look at everyone on the show at the moment, because theirs seems more genuine, the fact that they care about one another. And he had to give her a cuddle. I think he was sad because you could see on her face that she was crying. And I think Mimi is the one who told him that Sophie's been crying, because there was a time he was sitting with Steph and Mimi, and we didn't get to hear that conversation. So I think they were trying to make him see sense, and they were trying to make him understand that she is really hurt. She's not taking this lightly. This has really affected her. And because of that, I feel like this is why he's sort of able to sort of rationalize and realize that I really like this person. Yes, they made a mistake. Yes, but I don't want to upset them to a point whereby they start crying. So the islanders go to sleep, and surprisingly, the only couple with their light off, because apparently you have to press a light to say you consent. So the heart-shaped lights on the beds are for consent. So when it's on, that means both partners have consented. If one person turns on and the other one doesn't, then I understand that the producers have to prompt them. I heard somebody say this. I don't remember who said it, but I heard one of the islanders. Anyway, everybody has their lights on, including Sophie and Dylan, and I'm like, what the hell? I thought you two were upset. Or maybe it's because he cuddled her, because he could tell she was crying and she was very upset. So he gave her a cuddle, I think, until she fell asleep or something. I don't know. In the morning, Nico is furious. He just bounces out of bed and he leaves the room. You have Dylan and Sophie asking each other, did you sleep? And Dylan is like, my sleep was crap. She says, no, it was crap as well. And they're really going through it. Poor little things. And it's not their fault. This is what I hate, that it's not their fault, but the producers and everything to do with the show. I think if they had started dating in the real world without production and everything, storylines and stuff, they would have been fine. Anyway, well, Dylan is avoiding Sophie. He's taking time out because he says he doesn't want to speak to her, because if she pulls him for a chat at the moment, he'll be so flustered and he won't know what to say. So he wants time to sort of process his thought. We actually see him on the balcony having a conversation with Mercedes, but I think because it didn't meet the storyline, we never got to hear what they were saying. Instead, we heard what Sophie and Em were saying, because they were questioning each other that, what are they talking about? What is the plan? What is he going to do? I don't want to pull him until he's ready. And it's like, so we're only meant to see when Sophie and Dylan are toxic, or when they're lovey-dovey, but we never get to understand how they got from point A to point B. We'll never hear the conversations that sort of make sense for viewers to sort of understand how genuine their connection is or what's going on with them. I don't get it. you have Nico finally sit down for a chat with Mia, and he's saying, I'm in my feelings because I feel like you let me down, you betrayed me in the sense that you don't trust me. You trusted Hannah, someone you don't know, over me. How could you do that? Make that make sense? And for me, yeah, it's a make that make sense situation. And her argument is, oh well, she said to me, I'm coming to you as a girl's girl, and it's like Hannah is never any girl's girl. That's the line she uses before she strikes, but she's never a girl's girl. So the idea that you'd believe that says more about you than it says about anybody else. Because I wouldn't, trust Hannah with anything, because she has shown that she is a mean girl. She has said and done some of the worst things to some of the other girl islanders. So the idea that somebody coming in, unless they don't show them the show before they come in, unless, if I walked into a room and I have 3-4 people saying the same thing about someone, then I would question that person that they're talking about. Because at the end of the day, you have girls that say Hannah is the meanest girl in the villa. She's seen footage of Hannah actually saying some of the meanest things. So I don't know how she was able to believe Hannah, but hey, to each their own. Aww. My little romantic heart is happy. It really is. So Sophie and Dylan finally sit down for a chat. And Sophie is saying what she's realized is Dylan is one of those people who, when he's very emotional and he has a lot to process, he shuts down. I'm one of those. I'll raise my hand. I'm a Gemini. So, hey, it is what it is. And so he shuts down, he thinks about what's happening and what he's going to say or do, and then he has a conversation, which I love, because there's no point in speaking when you're in the heat of the moment. I think Sophie's sort of conflict management is sort of like Mercedes, and Dylan's conflict management style is sort of like M, and I think having experienced that before, that's why Sophie's able to appreciate it. So they sit down for a conversation, and Dylan reiterates his apology, because on the night of movie night, after the blowout after movie night, he apologized to her when she called him out, and he said, 100% I was wrong. I can't even justify that, because that is not something that I would find acceptable to say to anyone, let alone to you, someone that he has a lot of feelings for. So I like that was the opening of the conversation. They really spoke. He doesn't like the fact that she's, he doesn't like seeing her upset, and she said the same. This is what I was saying, that Dylan and Sophie really like one another. I think if we were to pull out genuine connections in ranking, they would rank higher than most people in the villa. And I think if the producers don't continue to tamper with them, they have a better chance of staying together than some of the couples in the villa. I'm just going to call it as it is. So the fact that they were able to have this conversation, and Dylan to say, I don't like the drama. He's already said he doesn't like the drama. So he doesn't want any hiccups. He's begging her that please don't create any more hiccups. And she says, well, there's no more hiccups because that's it. We're done. I don't think she wants the idea of having to go through this. And this was terrible for the two of them. And so to see them just lay there and just hold each other, it was the cutest thing ever. And then the makeout. Sophie knows how to get to Dylan, because after he kissed her, she went, oh, now you want to kiss me. And it's like, she knows how to get him out of his comfort zone and just, shake him up a bit. This is one of the things I think he loves about her, that she knows how to sort of navigate his sort of, not his moods, but just how to navigate him as a person. That way he can't sort of, where in other situations you'd be able to say no, or I don't want to do something, Sophie has a way of just letting his walls fall down, and he just has no choice but to do whatever she wants him to do. So you have the islanders getting ready for the night. Everyone is in a happy space. Everyone is all lovey-dovey. They're excited. They're with their partners. And it's the cutest thing ever. It really is. So you have the girls, while they're putting on their makeup, Sophie decides to tell the girls that she and Dylan have made up. And everyone is excited for them. I think they can tell. Her friends, obviously, Mimi and Em must have known ahead of everybody else, because I loved Mimi's excitement. Mimi was one of the instigators of this reconciliation, because she must have gone to Dylan and had a conversation with him and sort of explained to him what happened for him to see sense, because otherwise all he could see was red after movie night. So everyone is excited for them, that they're back together. You have, the islanders pick up their drinks, Steph does the toast, and then they just go off into their little couples having conversation. Oh my God, Zayn. I don't know, maybe Jade is the girl for him, because she says she needs to increase her vocabulary as well. She needs to read. And it's like, well, you're in the right place with Zayn then. You're really in the right place, because he needs to increase his vocabulary as well, because it's a struggle. It really is a struggle. The fact that they were debating whether you say bless you when somebody hiccups. I don't even remember what you say anymore. Anyway, do you not say, are you okay? Or do you need anything or something? I don't know. I don't know the etiquette behind someone who's having a hiccup. It was just a long, drawn-out conversation that didn't need to be had, but hey, they need something to talk about. You then have, Mimi having a conversation with Steph. Is trying to teach us French, and she is giddy. Mimi is giddy for Steph. She really is giddy for Steph, and it's nice to see her happy. It really is. So as long as she's happy, we're happy for her. Mercedes is telling M that, he came to Love Island to look for something, and he feels he's found it. So he's happy that he's found it. He's found his person in M, and I think they get each other. I said this before, and I'll say this again. M and Mercedes understand each other better than she did with Taylor. I think that Mercedes is her ideal match, and it's a better couple. It makes more sense, or they make more sense as a couple, the two of them, as compared to her coupling with Indigo or with Taylor. I don't know why the producers are trying to sell us Kayla and Eric. I really don't. I don't know whether they are the ones that they've decided to use as their default winners, because otherwise it doesn't make sense why we keep being shown them, because there's nothing really about them outside of the fact that it looks like they want to jump each other's bones. I wouldn't be surprised if they went to the hideaway and broke up the way she did with Taylor afterwards, but hey, maybe I'm just being skeptical. Maybe that's just me. Sophie and Dylan, why do they do this to me? So they have a chat by the fire pit, because every couple is having conversations, and so they're sort of talking. Sophie brings up the conversation, or the topic of closing off for girlfriend and boyfriend, and she tells Dylan that she really likes him, and she hasn't felt the way she feels about him it's been over 3 years since she's felt this way. And so when she chooses to shut things off with him, she wants him to know that once she's locked in, she's not going back. So she's going to stick to him. She's not going to sort of falter between him and somebody else. And that was good news for him, because he seems to be locked in. Dylan is locked in. Production, I don't know why they don't like Dylan and Sophie as a couple, and they keep sort of creating all this unnecessary tension. You then have, the islanders are just hanging around. They know something is coming up. They've already been told that you've got one extra couple and somebody needs to go home. And for me, I feel like this fight and everything that happened with Sophie and Dylan was instigated so that the producers could have them in the bottom. For some reason, they wanted them in the bottom with Zayn, or maybe for storyline or whatever. It doesn't make sense. So anyway, it seems like, they receive a text message to gather around the fire pit. They gather around the fire pit. Sophie Monk arrives, and she reveals that the superfans, for some reason, this thing needs to be recorded live. It needs to be live so that people get to vote for who they want. So she reveals that the superfans have been voting for the most loved up couples. And it's obvious who's not loved up if you just look at it from the outside. If you're saying who's got a genuine connection, or I think they should have said who's in the best space, not who's the most loved up, because as far as I'm concerned, Hannah is not the most loved up. With Kayla, it's more of a crush. So I feel like the producers want them to be part of their top 3. So the first 3 couples to be told they're safe are Hannah and Taylor, Kayla and Eric, and then Mercedes and M. And I think, I don't know. Next is Nico and Mia. They're saved. And you also have Steph and Mimi. Am I surprised? No. So the bottom 2 couples are Zayn and Jade, and Dylan and Sophie. And it infuriates me. It makes my blood boil that they're paying for something that was not of their doing. Yes, Sophie, we know she betrayed Dylan. She wasn't honest, and she did what she did. At the end of the day, that was a snowball effect from the producers setting that scene up for things to happen because they wanted the drama. As far as I'm concerned, I am never going to, avoid looking at that for what it is, because they created the environment that allowed these people to do what they did. And then they lift their hands up and say, no, it's not us. She could have said no. But you put her in a situation with someone she still probably had feelings for, and locked the door. And what did you expect them to do? Make it make sense? So you then have Dylan and Sophie and Zayn and Jade being the bottom 2. Everyone is told that they need to go in their couples and decide who to dump. And there's no need for even them to go and have a conversation about it, because it's so obvious. Dylan and Sophie are way further down the road than Jade and Zayn. And we've all seen how Zayn has behaved. He started off being interested in a girl and then suddenly gets the ick and is out. So it's only a matter of time before he says he's got the ick with Jade. So what's the point of people going to sit down and have a conversation about that? At least everybody acknowledge that Sophie and Dylan, yes, they are working on the issue that has just presented itself. But They've discussed life outside of Love Island. They've discussed future plans of what they're going to do. They have been functional in the villa, and everyone has seen them that they're functional. Because when Sophie and Dylan are at their best, they keep to each other. They don't involve themselves in any mess going on around the villa. It's always, Sophie, can I pull you for a chat? Dylan, can I pull you for a chat? Oh, it's always, Sophie, I need to speak to Dylan. So everybody must have seen that they've got a strong bond. It's not even a question as to who has a stronger bond, Sophie and Dylan compared to Jade and Zayn. It's not even up for debate. I don't even know why they waste the time having people talk about it. And for the audacity, Taylor, to say, oh, I feel some type of way, sending my little brother home because, and it's like, your little brother, you haven't been a big brother. You should have spoken to him and taught him how to treat women better. Producers are messy, really messy, because after the couples had a deliberation, they then came down to reveal who they voted for. First up was Kayla and Eric. They revealed that they voted for Zayn and Jade. Is it debatable? No, it's not. That's the truth. They're the least compatible couple. They're the least romantic couple. So that was fine. You had Nico and Mia. They voted for Zayn and Jade. Yes, it's the same thing. And then the audacity, the producers are messy because next up was supposed to be Em and Steph, but they jumped them because obviously they were a show in for Dylan and Sophie. So they jumped and they went to Taylor and Hannah. That was good that they put them on the spot. They couldn't hide behind everybody else. Well, then you had, Taylor, my little bro, I've been friends with Dylan from day one. And it's like, but you were just saying to Hannah that if you were in Dylan's shoes, you'd have dropped Sophie. No one person is perfect. We're all humans. We all make mistakes. This is why there's a word called mistake. This is why there's a word called I'm sorry. If people didn't make mistakes and didn't apologize, then those two words, sorry and mistake, would not exist. So please keep it moving. And because 3 people had already voted for them, it was a given that Zayn and Jade were going home. They didn't even need Mimi and Em to make a decision, because at the end of the day, those are Sophie's girls. They were always going to ride for Sophie. So either way, all they needed was one person. And that one person was either going to be Nico or Kayla, but it was most probably, Zayn and Jade going home. You have Jade say she accepts the decision. She feels it's fair because at the end of the day, Sophie and Dylan still have a journey to go. They still have a story to tell and they deserve to be in the villa. And it was amazing. I really loved this for Sophie and Dylan. Finally, Zayn owned up to what he did. He said, I'm sorry. I wish my biggest regret is Hotel Amour. And he told Sophie that, you and Dylan are going to be amazing. I wish you all the best. You're a great couple. They are a great couple. You can't knock them for that. They are a great couple. And they are couples in there that are faking it. Then there are genuine couples in the villa that you can actually see a future with. And Dylan and Sophie, and I think if I had to pick, somehow Mercedes and Em, for me, I see a future for them. I'm not sure about Steph, but I see a future for them. Even Nico and Mia, I see a future for them. Anyway, thanks guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe, and click the link in my video to watch my review from episode 24. Bye guys.